Who is Andy Byron? And why his Coldplay? Kiss cam. Moment shocked the internet. In July 2025, a seemingly light-hearted kiss cam moment at a Coldplay concert unexpectedly became one of the most widely shared and dissected viral incidents on the internet. The man caught on camera was Andy Byron, the CEO of a rising tech startup called Astronomer, a company focused on modern data orchestration, workflow automation, and cloud-native solutions. But what made the moment viral was not just the kiss, or the concert, or the crowd reaction. It was the implications, the whispers, the body language, the facial expressions, and what the internet perceived as hidden meaning beneath a few seconds of spontaneous footage. From Reddit threads to TikTok reactions, from Twitter outrage to LinkedIn debates, the moment quickly became a global symbol of corporate culture, personal privacy, power dynamics, and the ever-blurring line between public and private life in the age of viral surveillance. Andy Byron was not, until that moment, a household name. Among developers, tech founders, and cloud engineers, he was respected. His company Astronomer had seen significant growth in recent years, offering advanced tools for managing data pipelines and workflow orchestration through Apache Airflow, gaining clients in enterprise SaaS and AI companies. Byron was known in professional circles as a competent, driven executive, frequently featured in panel discussions, industry conferences, and blog interviews where he spoke about the future of cloud infrastructure, scalable data engineering, and the necessity of transparency in DevOps culture. But his public profile outside the industry was minimal. That changed in an instant on a warm summer evening in London, where Coldplay was performing one of the final concerts of their world tour. As part of the concert experience, the venue operated a kiss cam that periodically focused on random couples in the crowd, encouraging them to kiss while the audience cheered and the band continued playing in the background. A harmless bit of fun, or so it seemed. When the camera zoomed in on Andy Byron and the woman seated beside him, their reaction was immediate, noticeable, and, according to many viewers, suspicious. Byron, looking slightly startled, glanced at the woman next to him. She, too, hesitated, then smiled nervously. The two embraced in a short, awkward hug instead of a kiss. The moment might have passed unnoticed had it not been for the immediate crowd reaction. People in the rows nearby began to laugh, cheer, and even film the interaction on their phones. The camera quickly cut to another couple, but the footage had already spread across the arena and was captured by more than one attendee. Within hours, the video had surfaced on X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Theories multiplied. Some claimed that Byron was caught in an affair, that the woman was not his wife, and the hug was a desperate attempt to avoid public confirmation of something inappropriate. Others speculated that the woman was an employee, perhaps from Astronomer's human resources department. The theory gained traction when social media detectives began to comb through public photos from company events, eventually identifying the woman as someone allegedly involved with internal operations at Astronomer. What had begun as a concert gag now erupted into a firestorm of online debate. Commenters dissected every frame of the kiss cam footage. They analyzed body language, reaction times, the expression on Byron's face, the nature of the hug, the audience reaction. Amateur sleuths pieced together timelines, marriage records, corporate profiles, LinkedIn connections. Memes followed. Some were funny, some were crude. Others raised serious concerns about corporate ethics, power imbalance, and the emotional toll of public shaming. And then came the wave of think pieces, opinion articles in tech magazines, HR forums, ethics blogs, and even financial news outlets asking what the incident said about workplace culture, modern relationships, and surveillance capitalism. Meanwhile, Andy Byron, remained silent. No statement was issued by Astronomer. No clarification appeared on his personal social media accounts. The silence was interpreted in multiple ways: as guilt, as legal caution, as strategic restraint, or simply as confusion in the face of overwhelming public scrutiny. Over the next several days, as the video reached tens of millions of views across platforms, pressure mounted. Influencers weighed in. Some defended Byron, arguing that what happened in a private moment at a public concert should not be grounds for professional judgment. Others demanded transparency, citing the potential for abuse of power and workplace misconduct. Then came the leaks. An anonymous source claimed to have worked at Astronomer and alleged that the woman seen in the video was indeed a member of the HR team. The source described a workplace culture that was friendly but increasingly blurred in boundaries, and pointed to previous rumors of favoritism and unspoken tensions within upper management. These claims could not be verified, but they added fuel to an already blazing fire. At this point, the story was picked up by mainstream media. Business Insider, Forbes, BBC Tech, and Bloomberg all ran variations of the same headline: CEO caught on kiss cam. Is this just a meme or a corporate crisis? The incident became a case study in the fragility of public image and the velocity of reputational damage in the digital age. PR experts weighed in. Lawyers commented on potential consequences if internal policies were violated. HR professionals used it as a warning in workshops and training sessions about power dynamics and public optics. But why did this moment capture the imagination of millions? Why did it resonate beyond the world of tech, business, and data? The answer lies in the emotional convergence of several key themes: privacy, accountability, power, performance, and the deeply human desire to decode truth from fleeting glances. The kiss cam moment symbolized a society on edge, where trust in leadership is low, where workplace ethics are under scrutiny, where AI and data monitor every move, and where one poorly timed hug can trigger a global conversation. In Byron's case, his role as a tech CEO made the story even more potent. This was not just a man caught on camera. This was a decision maker, a leader of people, a person responsible for shaping corporate culture, making hiring decisions, and representing a company in public. In the days that followed, Astronomer's official website briefly went down, leading to further speculation. Investors reportedly contacted the board to request clarification. Internal Slack messages were leaked anonymously to reporters, showing that employees were asking whether any ethics review would take place. The silence continued. Byron remained out of public view for nearly a week. When he finally issued a statement via a short blog post on Medium, it was vague and carefully worded. He apologized for any distraction caused by recent events, reaffirmed his commitment to professional integrity, and said that the matter is being reviewed internally. But for many, the damage was already done. Not because of guilt, necessarily, but because of the optics, the delay, the ambiguity. The court of public opinion had already ruled. Sociologists and behavioral psychologists began using the Byron incident in lectures to illustrate the phenomenon of parasocial morality, when strangers on the internet form strong ethical judgments about people they have never met, based on fragments of context and their own projections. The story also became a trending topic in corporate governance forums, particularly in Silicon Valley, where founders are increasingly expected to maintain a kind of moral consistency in both public and private life. Venture capitalists began to quietly discuss how to vet startup leadership for reputational risk, including behavior at events, online presence, and interpersonal conduct. And yet, Through all of this, a quieter story was unfolding about how the internet turns humans into symbols. For some, Andy Byron became a scapegoat for workplace inequality. For others, he was a victim of overreach and cancel culture.
For still others, he was simply unlucky, a man caught in the wrong place, at the wrong time, in front of the wrong lens. The kiss cam had become a mirror, and what people saw in it reflected their own fears, values, and desires. As of now, Byron remains CEO of Astronomer. The company has not announced any major leadership changes, but the incident continues to reverberate through both online and offline worlds. It has led to renewed discussions about consent in public filming, boundaries between colleagues outside of work, the responsibility of leadership, and the ethics of virality. More broadly, it has raised fundamental questions about what it means to live a professional life in an era where every second could become content. In boardrooms, in HR trainings, in lecture halls, in YouTube reaction videos and podcast interviews, the question remains, what should be the consequence of a moment? When does a meme become a movement? And how do we reconcile the public's insatiable demand for transparency with the messy, imperfect, deeply human reality of interpersonal relationships? Andy Byron never expected to become a symbol. He built a company, not a persona. And yet, in a matter of seconds, the spotlight found him. Whether he emerges from it stronger, changed, or forgotten remains to be seen. But the kiss cam moment will linger as a parable, a warning, or perhaps just a snapshot of a world that watches everything and forgives nothing. Across different parts of the world, the reaction to the Andy Byron kiss cam incident revealed not only a fascination with viral content, but also profound cultural differences in interpreting public behavior, leadership expectations, and the intersection of private life with professional standing. In the United States, where Byron is based and Astronomer is headquartered, the response was sharp, immediate, and deeply polarized. Many US-based users on platforms such as Reddit, X, and LinkedIn viewed the incident through the lens of workplace ethics, focusing on whether the woman next to him was a subordinate and what implications that might have for internal company policy. American discourse frequently invoked themes of corporate responsibility, the #MeToo movement's lingering impact, and the role of perception in executive behavior. In this context, Byron was either condemned for perceived impropriety or defended as a victim of speculative overreach. In the United Kingdom, where the concert took place, commentary leaned more toward cultural satire. British Twitter users created memes mocking the awkwardness of the interaction, with some comparing it to a scene from The Office UK, and others noting the reserved nature of the hug as reflective of stereotypical British discomfort with public displays of affection. Tabloids such as The Sun and Daily Mail ran with headlines that emphasized the scandal angle, often embellishing the narrative with suggestive language. However, UK tech blogs tended to be more restrained, noting that while the incident was embarrassing, it should not be conflated with professional misconduct in the absence of facts. In East Asian countries like Japan and South Korea, where professional decorum and public image are culturally significant, online reactions were more subdued but pointed. Many commentators emphasize the importance of maintaining a clear boundary between professional and personal spaces, while others express concern that a seemingly harmless incident could spiral into reputational catastrophe. On Japanese tech forums and Korean business communities, there was discussion about how such a moment would be handled locally. Many concluded that a Japanese CEO involved in a similar viral event might be expected to issue a formal apology or even resign to preserve organizational harmony. In the Middle East and parts of Africa, particularly among audiences engaging in tech-focused forums or diaspora communities, the reaction to Byron's moment was more analytical. Discussions often revolved around the double standards applied to male and female executives, or how Western media tends to sensationalize private moments when a prominent figure is involved. In conservative cultural contexts, the very idea of a public kiss cam at a concert was criticized as inappropriate, and Byron's participation, however passive, was viewed through a moral lens shaped by local norms. In Latin America, responses were highly emotional and meme-driven, with a focus on drama, betrayal, and soap opera-style storytelling. Spanish-language TikTok was flooded with speculative videos, dramatic reenactments, and captions like "Él lo sabía, pero no podía evitarlo." He knew it, but he couldn't help it. The region's entertainment-inclined digital culture embraced the incident as a kind of telenovela in real time. What became clear was that the Byron kiss cam moment, although short and contextually opaque, acted as a projection surface for global values. Each cultural lens brought its own assumptions, humor, morality, and thresholds of tolerance. The incident ceased to be about Byron himself. It became a cultural mirror. On the business side, the fallout from the viral moment brought tangible consequences and looming uncertainties. First, internal company morale was impacted. Employees at Astronomer, once proud of working at a respected startup, suddenly found themselves fielding awkward questions from friends and family. Slack channels were reportedly filled with nervous jokes, euphemisms like "the concert event," and thinly veiled frustrations over the lack of transparency from leadership. Investors, especially those who had recently participated in Series C funding rounds, began demanding updates. In today's venture capital environment, where reputation is increasingly factored into due diligence and brand equity, even ambiguous incidents can lead to panic. According to leaked internal memos obtained by unnamed sources, some investors were concerned not only about public relations, but about the possible erosion of internal trust and talent attrition. If leadership is questioned, the product suffers, one VC reportedly wrote. Partnerships were also affected. Several companies with joint ventures or integrations with Astronomer delayed product announcements or temporarily froze marketing collaborations, citing the need to wait and assess the situation. This cautious stance highlighted the fragile interdependence of modern tech ecosystems, where optics can shape strategy. At least two major tech conferences quietly removed Byron's name from upcoming speaker lists, despite previously confirming his participation. Organizers cited programmatic adjustments, but the timing left little room for doubt. Recruitment suffered as well. Astronomer, once known for attracting top-tier engineers and data scientists, now found itself competing not just on salary and technology, but on perception. Glassdoor reviews mentioning poor leadership visibility and confusing public image began to surface. Even if temporary, these impressions can create long-term damage, especially in highly competitive hiring markets. For the leadership team itself, trust became a currency in decline. Though no formal accusations were made, the absence of clarity became a story of its own. Rumors spread about internal divisions, about HR's role in the aftermath, and about whether the board of directors was considering a review process behind closed doors. For Byron, who had always maintained a low-profile, data-first image, the sudden transformation into a controversial figure marked a disorienting shift in executive identity. Beyond the immediate corporate implications, the incident exemplified the terrifying efficiency of the attention economy and its cancel culture mechanisms. A single ambiguous moment, without clear moral transgression, criminal behavior, or organizational misconduct, was enough to trigger an algorithmic avalanche. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and X do not reward nuance. They reward engagement, and few things generate more engagement than the mixture of sex, power, silence, and speculation. Once the clip began gaining traction, the algorithms did the rest. Engagement begets visibility. Visibility begets virality, virality begets scrutiny, and scrutiny, in the absence of facts, creates its own truths. This is the logic of digital mob behavior, not a top-down orchestrated cancellation, but a bottom-up swarm of micro-decisions powered by likes, shares, stitches, and duets. Cancel culture, in this case, didn't need an activist campaign. It needed only momentum. This is not merely an issue of fairness. It is a transformation of human judgment itself. The incident reveals how our collective sense of justice, once governed by law, ethics, and reason, is now frequently dictated by clips, reactions, ratios, and comment sections. We no longer ask, "What happened?" but "What did people think happened?" and "How fast?" The cancel culture dimension, then, is not a top-down suppression of voices. It is a decentralized algorithmic phenomenon where judgment is crowdsourced in real time, where forgiveness is rare, and where identity is defined by the worst moment that happens to be captured, and it's accelerating.